Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there, welcome back.
So, guys, there's a lot going on. Last night was a fascinating, very long night for us with a lot of interesting information that came through.
Yeah, last night was different. Last night energies came through that were even more otherworldly.
Yeah, and what I want to get out there is that actually I feel today, right off the bat, I want to get out that I feel way more hopeful than I have in a long time, honestly.
Well, that's good. I mean, we need a lot of hope. We need that feeling. We need that energy signature to be out there, that feeling of hope and that we're going to make it.
Okay, so we have 3 channels, Evolutionary and EEARTS and also Heart's Own. Please do subscribe to all 3, and we're also, of course, posting our videos on Patreon and Ko-Fi, and also Brighteon, Bitchute, and Rumble. So, what has been getting in everybody's mind is what is up with all these mystery things. We had the Chinese balloons, obviously. We had the shoot down in South Carolina. We've been kind of telling you, honestly, that while I've always expected all these events to transpire, it seemed like things were transpiring a little bit quicker than we anticipated. But I think also that's because consciousness is expanding quicker, and also the narrative is collapsing quicker.
Well, people know, so many people know now that there's a lot to this, that it's not just what's on the mainstream media. There's a lot in the background because, I mean, they're the ones putting it out there, or the mainstream is putting it out there right now.
Absolutely. So we have this mystery airborne object remaining over Montana, says congressman who claims the Department of Defense is waiting the daylight for fighter jets to go get on it. Can't bring it down in the dark. Military says it's monitoring the situation after reopening airspace, because airspace was literally closed. They closed down the airspace. And over in China, Chinese authorities have stated that the UFO they spotted today is flying near Yuchi Naval Base, home port of the Liaoning aircraft carrier. China only has, I believe, 3 now. I think they do have officially 3 aircraft carriers that are operational. So, again, what is this? Is this people on the U.S. side, people on the Chinese and Russian side that are testing out, more advanced aircraft? Because we know, again, I think a lot of people out there realize that we are probably decades ahead of what we show technologically. Maybe a few realize that we might be literally 100 years ahead. And then there's very few that realize that the real power structure is thousands and thousands of years ahead of what we are seeing out there. So again, these headlines are everywhere. So now you have not just the U.S., not just Canada, not just Alaska up there, but also over in China. Yes. So this is fascinating. And of course, the initial idea is just to shoot things down. And then you have CNN reporting UFO shot down over Alaska may have been an alien spacecraft. When they look at the object, they could identify no identifiable propulsion system. They did not know how it was staying in the air. And then you have this, when a CIA mouthpiece starts pushing UFOs, that's when you know it's a false story. And everybody is just saying, here we go, Project Bluebeam, Project Bluebeam. One thing that the controllers do is they understand probability and possibility. Again, there is an AI, artificial intelligence net that's utilized upon this planet that rolls out all the different possibilities, probabilities. So they cover it. They just cover it. What's the likelihood, for instance, that there would be some sort of intervention when we are going to start WW3? The likelihood's fairly high. So we have to put that narrative out there. In case you guys don't know, again, Operation Paperclip was basically at the end of World War II. The U.S. took in a lot of the top NAZI scientists. And so one of them was Werner von Braun. And there is this story that Werner von Braun, on his deathbed, all of a sudden, he was hit with a guilt over his life, or, just wanted to clear the air. So he warned us that there was going to be a whole bunch of different things coming, that we were going to, have a boogeyman that would be basically terrorist orientated. And, of course, we had Al-Qaeda and 9/11 and all that. And then we will go into, we go through that Cold War, then the 9/11 type stuff with the terrorists are coming to get us. And then there'd be asteroids coming to get us. And then finally, alien invasion. Yes. And, again, this was somebody that ended up being a very top official. So in other words, this is an insider's insider. Why would we trust him on his deathbed? Why would anybody trust anything that he says on his deathbed? Do we really think he's hit with, pangs of guilt? Or is it just another part of the story? And because now everybody, when you look at it, all those that are CONS piracy theorists, the vast majority are saying this is Project Bluebeam. This is not real. Those are not real aliens. And thus, they've effectively negated what really actually is an extraterrestrial intervention. They've negated it in the minds of those that would be the most suspicious in the first place.
I think a lot of people out there still look to the mainstream media for some kind of confirmation. It's like, okay, well, if the mainstream's covering it, therefore it must be true. But we've been doing this long enough to know that if the mainstream's covering it, there's something wrong with the story. And that's just the truth. When you look at these energies and what they're claiming to be a UFO, what I'm feeling in there is some type of magnetic device. It's magnetic. It's something that allows it to free float in the air. And it does seem to be something that is alien technology, but also our technology. It feels very, very hybrid, and it's not that our military doesn't know about it. They absolutely know. There is a level where they know everything.
So, last night we had many different groups come through. Multiple groups came through, and some that were not the usual groups. And what we got is that this is basically this is a different group of obviously non-terrestrial beings that are actually trying to stop the war from starting. Now, the way it was worded is that, and again, I understand so many people are just convinced that there are not aliens, but aliens have always been here. And so Project Bluebeam is effectively, it's the same thing as now the Starlink satellites. You see a bunch of ships in the sky. Well, that must be Elon Musk. It's just, and then they'll always, or you see something really weird in the sky, some strange swirl. I bet you that was Elon Musk. I bet you that was related to Starlink and all that. And it's just a catch-all thing now. It's a catch-all thing, and then they could kind of leak out, oh, yeah, you guys, you saw old Elon. Yeah, that was another one of his things that went up there. Well, again, it's just a way to catch everybody and get them away from what's really happening. So the group that came through last night, Laurel, for those of you who have been following the channel, is our main contact at the Galactic Federation. And she is also a liaison, so to speak, I guess is the right way of putting it. Cindy's nodding her head in affirmation for the Pleiadian Council, the Pleiadian High Council. Last night was the first time we actually had direct conversation with High Chair on the Pleiadian Council. And, that was interesting in and of itself. And so we were able to reach different beings, including beings that are, you could say, cousins to the ant people of the Hopi. And we had made contact with the ant people of the Hopi when we were out in New Mexico. And these are their cousins, so to speak. And so they came through as well. There's many, many beings around us all the time. You have no idea, well, most people have no idea just how populated our space is with density upon density upon density. We are literally always just walking through other people. And again, this is something that we've been really, we've had this eradicated from our mind and from our understanding. The shamanistic point of view of the fact that there's all these different dimensions, densities, these different layers to consciousness and existence has been kind of taken from us because it's all about control. They want you thinking there's only Earth, this is it, there's nothing else, and that you only live one life. Well, and that you even are the body, and that your consciousness is even the result of chemical reactions. No, they couldn't be any farther from the truth. Typically, when you take whatever they say and you inverse it, you're getting closer to the truth. So that's why it's really funny now when you have mouthpieces saying this could be aliens, that they're actually telling you the reality, because what's going on right now is the Federation, the Galactic Federation, and again, there's many different groups out there. You got to recognize too, not everybody is a part of the Galactic Federation, and it's not just you're either on the Galactic Federation or you're on the Dark Hat team. No. There are so many intelligences out there, so many different beings out there that are not part of both. It is, again, it is so populated. When we go into the Hindu scripture and we see there's a couple 100,000 humanoid species in our galaxy that they knew of. It's overwhelming, the different amount of entities that are out there. Now, that's going to be something that we're all going to know in the coming decades, because they're not going to be able to keep it from us. Well, those of us that decide not to become slaves and not to go into their cities, their smart cities. But it does feel like we can actually change the entirety of this whole paradigm and timeline we've been on now. And that's the thing that has felt to be almost something that couldn't be overcome. So the Galactic Federation would not allow an open, NUKE exchange on the planet, because they can literally go into the minds of those people that are going to be pushing buttons and stuff and stop them from doing it. They can overshadow, and the dark side can overshadow too, but they're not on the same par as these beings that are up in 5th and 6th and 7th density. They're not even close. Yet, at the same time, the Galactic Federation wants to allow everything to go on as naturally as possible. And it is about a learning experience here on the planet. But at the same time, they don't want the planet destroyed. They don't want different densities destroyed. There are beings just a little bit outside of our perspective where we can't really see them. Or, as the ant people were saying last night, if you were to watch us doing our work, you might see a hole developing in the ground slowly but surely and wondering, what's going on there? That's us. Who's digging that hole? I don't see anybody digging that hole, but there's a hole appearing. Well, that's them. You can't see them, but you can see the results of it. They help to maintain some things on the planet under the surface. And again, they were sharing that there's many entities living inside the earth, under the surface. Many, many different entities. And some are not so nice, but some are. Some are very, very benevolent. Again, you have such a mix. But the fact is that most of these beings, most of them are not necessarily going to interfere. But what they're doing now is they're trying to stop it because, yes, we are at that intersection where the dark side wants to start WW3 right now. And this one group, who is avian in nature, they are humanoid aliens that are avian, bird-like in nature. They're bringing in these are not manned ships. There's no beings inside these ships. You could call them drones. They do come from, and Cindy was picking up right away that these things are coming from a mothership of some sort. Yeah, they are coming from a mothership. What they're trying to do is they're trying to stop the war. They're trying to spark humanity's understanding a little bit so that we will stop it, stop the chaos, and stop the madness. But they're doing it a little bit more dramatically, and they're also doing something that the Galactic Federation won't necessarily do themselves directly, and they feel strong enough about it that they're willing to risk the karma. Because again, almost all the beings out there understand the law of cause and effect. And when you and our good friend Bess, who was one of the popular deities in Egypt that you might or might not have heard of, but he had his image all over the place in Egypt. He's literally working with us now to burn off karma that he did too much. He did too much. How could you do too much? You can do too much. And so he was, you could say he was too nice of a guy. He overstepped his boundaries. He did too much. And so he's actually working that karma off now for helping too much. So without further ado, I'll hand it off to my beautiful wife.
So yes, last night's channeling was very different in nature, and we do anticipate in getting more of this information. But for those of you who are familiar with the blue avians, this is a subject that is stepping in the way, and they are risking their karmic values to come in and try to help. What they are doing is they have a very powerful ability to channel through us. I can tell you that now. If you ever wondered about them and the contacts, it's very, very real. This was an experience last night that was like no other. It was not subtle. No, it was like, having a beam beamed at you, and you're going to give this information. And I feel we've been given this megaphone for people to hear. Those that want to hear, those that are supposed to hear will hear. So they have stepped in between the Galactic Federation and us in hopes to delay, put off this war that they're trying to have. Humanity's evolution is the most important thing to them. So yes, they are willing to risk some karmic repercussion in order to step in and help us. And there are going to be people who just absolutely do not believe this, but that's not what I'm asking. I'm not asking anyone to believe it. I'm just saying, for those of you who want this information, if it's for you, you will know in your heart. So it's not about believing or not believing. That's out the window at this point. There's a group of beings that are really, truly trying to help us. And I feel, since they are putting their butts on the line, we do owe them some kind of debt of gratitude and thank you, because I've heard so many people say, why don't the aliens come and step in and help us? Well, they are. Now they are. So this information we found very interesting, and we wanted to convey this to you guys, to let you know that there are things being done so that humanity can continue to evolve. And what is our part in this? Well, everybody has a part to the scenario and situation that's happening in your life. Our part is to continue to evolve, because that's why they're doing this. So do what you can to make yourself a better being so that we can grow up and out of this mess.
Absolutely. And so, just to clarify, like our normal contact at Laurel at the Galactic Federation is a fifth density being. Now, these that are interfering here, that are basically just showing themselves, they're trying to wake us up. These are fourth density. They're not at the same height, but you got to realize there are beings in every density. And when we say fourth density too, it doesn't mean, like, if we were to give it a 1 to 10 scale, a being at 4.1 might not be able to see a being at 4.3. And, you got to, again, recognize, okay, so those of you that are very, very familiar with how earthquakes are, when you look at how intense a 5.0 is compared to a 4.0, it's not that it's just going up in a tiny little increment. That's a huge jump. It's the same thing with the densities. So when we talk about beings in the lower astral realms, again, they might not be able to see these beings at all. And literally, this is what we've shared with you when we got the messages from the ones that we call the Star Children in 2055. And this does feel like we have an opportunity here because of a potential. It is an intervention, and it's not. I mean, all they're doing is showing themselves, and they're causing us to think. They're causing us to, maybe some of us, to expand our perceptions. And they're also kind of sending a message. Most definitely, they are sending a message to the controllers, which are lower astral realm controllers. The control system of this planet literally is on the hellish realms, those realms that we have called the hellish realms, the very first echelons of fourth density. When you are in the middle of fourth density, basically you are working towards unity consciousness. That's not a bad place to be at all. Not at all. And when you start getting into the upper fourth density, it literally is more of a heavenly realm. But we still have this interplay of the yin and the yang. We still have the interplay of all the opposites going on. So, I hope that clarifies things to a degree. Again, this is not necessarily them showing the controllers of this world that they're going to come and take out the controllers. Oh, no, they won't do that. They won't do that. But they want the controllers to know that they're not going to be allowed to harm not just us, but also other densities and beings that are totally, totally innocent, just going along doing their things. And, again, when one of those NUKEs goes off, it does rip like holes in time-space, and it does affect beings in other densities. That will not be allowed. And again, they very, very well, they already have all that planned. They know it's not going to be allowed. That's why they have weapons like the rods of God. That's why they have all these other sonic weapons. And that's why we have all these NUKE reactors around the place. So again, if they could send a rod of God down, destroy a reactor, and you get these readings, they could say it was that type of an attack. And that's what they were planning. But again, this is a wake-up call for humanity to realize the system is really the problem to be removed. When the system's removed, everything else is going to be fine. It really is. I mean, yeah, there'll be some natural cycles and changes to get through. But it's when is humanity ready and willing and able to recognize it's not alone and legitimately reach out for help of benevolent ones to help guide us and teach us, and they will not impose their will on us. No, a true teacher is one that gives you a golden nugget and lets you figure it out. Just gives you something to meditate on and ponder, and then you figure out the problem. You figure out the solution. That's what they're trying to do.
Right, because, what propels your soul more than your own belief system, than your own understanding. So when we are given these nuggets of information and it sits in our soul just right, boy, can that give you some serious motivation. And these great teachers, they know that. They understand that. And that's why they do what they do. As parents, so many of us, we have to step back and allow our children to figure things out, take the training wheels off, and let them ride the bike normally. Or if you're helping your child walk, at some point you have to let your hands go and allow them to take those first few steps, just to show them that yes, you can do it. You can do this. And we're in that position right now. We're being asked very strongly to be the best version of ourselves we can be, to help each other at every turn possible, for us to rise up and above the muck and the mire that life throws out at us. And every time we have an opportunity to either do the right thing or the wrong thing, they're asking us to do the right thing. No matter what that looks like, do the right thing, help one another out.
Absolutely. So, we are going to go and do our morning meditation and mantras now. And we will let you guys know what we get as things unfold. We just wanted to share this with you guys. So to us, this feels like this is an opportunity to literally stop what seemed to be unstoppable and to really shift timelines. And so we personally are extremely grateful for the actions that are being taken right now. And again, they are actions that could have karmic repercussions on these beings. And, we do recognize, of course, that, the dark side, it literally, just so you understand, again, the controllers are working with extraterrestrial interdimensional beings that have technologies that can do all sorts of wild things, even affect the sun and literally even nudge planets and moons, per se. But these sightings are not them. And, originally I think everybody, and us included, were wondering if this is them and trying to get a read on these energies, and they were not a familiar energy. So we knew that it wasn't the Galactic Federation, it wasn't a familiar energy. But it was this other group, which is a fourth density group, but they are a fourth density group. Again, there's fourth density planets that are closer to ours than Mars or Venus. And actually, the one inhabited by the ant people is actually closer than Mars or Venus. And at some point in the not too distant future, that will be visible to the naked eye. There's going to be new planets visible. There is going to be a new sun visible to the naked eye. And then eventually, there will be 3 suns in our sky. Again, we're in times of great change. We've had this illusion that has been laid over us, and that illusion's crumbling, so that's a good thing. Keep putting out your positive vibes. Keep doing your mantras, saying your prayers. Keep stating your affirmations, and again, we will get through this.
Indeed.
Source bless and namaste.
Namaste.